But why is Graviel in Church of Alfonso? Oh, yeah, am I allowed to swear on the lounge? I forget.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the Friend or Foe Lounge. I'm your friendly neighborhood Shackcaster Shargan, and I have some really cool guests who are going to be joining me today to talk about the Luna League. We've got, they're joining us as STC Songo, even though they actually are FoF Songo over here, the head of the Friend or Foe program. Then we've also got BBZ's Red and Utility Monster joining us once again from Universal-based Income. I know that there's some exciting games that we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. Specifically, Red, there's something you want to discuss whenever we get to one of your games. Yeah. So that'll be really interesting. So be sure to stick around for that. And then we will go ahead and be just jumping right in on this. I've got myself a timer and everything. So let's just get it going. First game right here. It was Church of Alfonso versus Team Skill Based.
You forgot to call out Red for getting a webcam so we can see his beautiful face.
Yeah, true.
Oh, I did get a webcam.
He got peer pressured.
I got peer pressured.
He got super peer pressured. We bullied him into it, and it was a lot easier than I expected. I'm actually a little disappointed.
I didn't expect you to actually go get it.
I had to go to 3 different stores to find one today.
His utility said he wouldn't be on unless Red did it.
Yeah, I had to do it for utility.
All right, so let's just kind of hop right into this. Just kind of looking at this team comp. What are your guys' thoughts? Right over to Utility Monster. Let's go to you first.
Yeah.
What? SKL really likes drafting these one threat compositions. And I don't know, it seems like it hasn't really worked out for him given their record, so maybe it's time to try something new. But you know, it's hard because they also have champion pool limitations, so maybe it's their best shot, but
Nautilus mid, bro. Thoughts on the Nautilus mid.
This one is Morgana mid. This one is Morgana mid.
Wait, oh, is it?
This one.
Was it? Oh, my bad.
Nautilus mid is their next game, but
okay.
It's the same concept where you have, 2 meatballs, top jungle, support as also a tank, and then Morgana's not a high damage threat, so you're really relying on the Tristana, and it's hard to execute, and if you ever get behind, you lose the game.
Yeah, and I think SKL, they, like you said, they like these single damage comps, and I don't understand why they're going for it, because they have such talented players across the map. Like, you do have Theracles, who's kind of showcased really, really strong mid laning, and Zishan and Kevin are both a really strong set of bot lanes, so I don't know why they're not drafting carries there.
Well, they are drafting carries bot lane. That's their only carry.
Well, sorry, yeah, like they're drafting the carry in the bot lane, but that's what I mean. It's like in the mid lane, they need to have something that's going to carry, because I love Royshal. He's been fun to watch, but there's been some questionable plays.
Yeah,
I think it's fine. I think the biggest concern about it is picking the Tristana after you know that there's going to be a Trundle and probably a tank in the support role. She's really bad at killing tanks, and if your primary carry is going to be the Tristana, like your only damage threat, you're going to have a really hard time getting through the tanks.
Tristana's bad at killing tanks until 4 items, because you need Mythic, some attack speed item, Infinity Edge, and Lord Dominic's Regards. At 4 items, you actually do quite well.
Yeah,
I actually don't mind it quite as much if it's your sole carry, because you're going to be funneling so much gold to the Trist. I think it's better than like a normal comp where you won't have that same amount of acceleration. But yeah, maybe it'd be better to have a Kog'Maw or a Jinx or some more traditional hyper carry champion.
I agree.
Yeah, no, either way, I think SKL's been doing a good job in some of these games, like just showcasing what they've got mechanically. Against Church of Alfonso, though, this was just a really, really rough game, just kind of in general.
Yeah, anyone know what the situation is with Graviel being on that team at all?
He's still on PTP, but he just wanted to play more games, and COF was looking for a top or jungle because Paytime can play both roles.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So I think they would have preferred a top lane, but they couldn't find one, so they swapped Paytime back to top and put Graviel in jungle.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
They've been playing with sub top laners that just a rotating cast with sub top laners for most of the season.
Right.
Okay, God, I just thought a bunch of teams were breaking up. A lot of players were leaving. No one fills me in on any of the drama anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why. I know that I think they planned on having halves, but he hasn't played League of Legends in a while, so I don't know if that's drama or just like he's busy.
Yeah.
I heard that he just kind of randomly ditched, like he just ghosted the rest.
Oh,
of the
that's
team.
right.
Oh, did he?
I
Okay.
did hear a little bit.
I don't know
about
how
that.
accurate that is.
It
That's
could
just
be
what I
he
heard.
has a life outside of League of Legends.
What?
No.
I mean, it's terrifying to think that that's a possibility for somebody, but you never know.
Yeah. No, I've never heard of that Pokemon.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
Really
I'm more
weird.
happy that Church of Alfonso is playing games on our show.
Actually,
You know, it's you're right. Like, it's really nice that we're actually getting to see them play and getting to
Yeah,
see.
it's really nice having a 4-game show.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
So, luckily, we're not quite having quite as many forfeits. With this particular game, I don't remember anything standing out to me too much.
I mean,
from
already
it.
in this game, you're 7 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
Or you were.
Yeah, I was, and then I hopped ahead 3.
But I mean, the gold lead at this point is just so big for a one-threat carry because they are not going to be able to get through tanks if they are not super accelerated, and they're in fact behind. So the game is basically over to out of laning phase, and there's not much to say about that because it's not like they don't think they play poorly post laning phase. I mean, the one game they got an early lead, they won the game, but their laning is just really weak, and I mean, at some level, there's not really much you can do in draft or anywhere else if you're just getting out CS'd and out killed this much early.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. And I think just the comp that they were drafted into with the single carry on the Tristana into a Camille and an Ashe, like you're just gonna have them jumped on. Not to mention the Rise, but
the one thing you can do is pick a super scaling comp and accept that, you know what, if we're gonna lose no matter what, we may as well have something to look forward to if we make the game go to 35 minutes.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that the easier thing to do is just play more games, CS better, fight better.
Yeah.
Their macro hasn't looked bad. Like in the games where they make it out of laning phase, SKLs actually look pretty decent. It's just they've only made it out of laning phase like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and that's always the tricky part. So yeah, Church of
but just
Alfonso.
funny to me because
Go ahead.
it feels like some of SKL's players, like I remember when I was first looking at them, like none of them seemed like too low compared to other like OPGGs on other teams. So that felt really weird to me that they're doing so poorly, or you know, like their record is so low. Like after seeing Zishan, like I've seen a couple of solo queue games, I've seen a couple of clips of him. I thought he was about to be like the best AD carry in this league and just 1v9 every game. But kind of crazy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, the games that they've looked good in, he has been kind of 1v9.
That's true.
In his defense.
So it's kind of like it's that situation you hate to say, but it's kind of like sometimes you're just your team. It's a team diff. So
yeah, sometimes this is the.
It's not even a team diff. It's just an individual laning diff. It's not like it's their team plays fine.
What are the chances they can make playoffs now? Have either of you guys ran the numbers?
I have not ran the numbers. I'm trying to think. What was the threshold?
Depends what you give their odds of winning a game, right? Like I think their odds are terrible, but they're not mathematically limited.
I think as long as TAS. I'm trying to remember.
Fraud Squad is currently the 6th seed, so they would make playoffs as the last, and they have 3 wins. And SKL has 1, and TAS has 2 with 4 games to play. So technically, no one's eliminated because the win totals are so low.
Right.
But I mean, they have to triple their win count in the last 2 weeks of the season. So if you look at it that way, then it's a little harder.
It's
doable.
It's doable. It's doable, but
they could do it with 2 wins and then win a tiebreaker against.
Yeah, stranger things have happened, but it's probably not favored if you're a betting person.
Have you ever heard of the story of the miracle team that went to play hockey in the U.S. Olympics?
No.
The
Never
Russian,
heard of them.
The U.S. Russian team, U.S. versus Russia games.
I don't think it'd be a great movie though.
I think it would probably be a pretty good movie.
Write that down. Write that down. Yeah.
So speaking of Fraud Squad, just hopping right into the next one right here, we actually had Fraud Squad versus HBK. HBK, I think, has been looking great lately. Like just as a general, they've just been looking really, really clean.
HBK looks really good against teams that are worse than them.
Yeah,
I'm still not sold. I'm still not sold on them against teams that are able to stand up to them. But like they snowball games really heavily. and they play well from ahead. I think partly just because they play very greedily, which is not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just that's how they play stylistically.
Yep.
And
I mean,
it's easy to be greedy it's easy to be greedy when you're ahead. So it's harder when they're behind. I don't think they're a bad team. Like, I don't think it's like, oh, they can only beat teams worse than them. I don't think it's quite that far, but they look better than they actually are against worse teams.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't know if you guys remember watching them in Mythic last season, but they still feel the same, where it feels like they're gonna beat you because they're gonna try to just be better than you, if that makes sense at all. Yeah.
Didn't they win the first 3 and then never get a win after that?
All right, bro, chill.
I
think they got 1 win after that, but yeah, they started 3-1 and then fell off.
Well, I mean, I think I agree with Utility. Like, if they don't have a lead, like it's hard for me to say, because when we played them, H-Block wasn't in the lineup, and personally, I think he's their best player.
For sure.
So it's hard for me to like really say anything on them, because I don't have the experience of playing against them with their actual full starting roster. But yeah, if they get a lead, it is scary. You know, it's the one thing that when we're playing against them this week, we're going to be looking out for.
We also play them again this week, so you know, maybe
they have a rough week.
They have a hard week, but yeah, maybe it'll be the type of thing where like they come out at 15 minutes and blow both of us out of the water, and we're like, well, I guess they're just really good.
Yeah.
You know, it could be exactly what we're going to end up seeing, just because of the nature of the way they've been playing lately. It's kind of, I feel like they've been a lot more explosive. Like we've talked about, like getting that lead. So I think against YUBI, it's going to be really, really tricky for them to actually be able to pull that off, just because you guys are such a stalwart
Actually,
wall.
You were saying their best player you think is H-Block. I think it's Idris.
Yeah, I've been liking Idris' performance a lot,
because a lot of their leads are off of things he's doing, especially early game. Like, he is making a lot of their, you know, these ganks happen to get them in a position to start snowballing, and then everyone else on the team plays well from ahead, but they seem really reliant on him to do something in the first 15 minutes. And if that doesn't happen, like when we played them our first time, we just tracked him the entire game, knew exactly where he was for like the first 10 minutes of the game off of a couple of really nice early wards, and just had an even game going into mid-game team fights, and we just won.
Yeah, that was kind of just based off of the experience when we played them.
So, you know, maybe it's the type of team where it's like you never want to give them too low of a chance, because if they're just really good early, like it doesn't matter what happens if you're a good team if you just get blown out early. So like they always have like that chance of like, yeah, we'll just beat you early and roll you over the game. But I don't think that they're necessarily like favored against some of like BBZ or YUBI.
Yeah,
I feel like their style is actually really reminiscent of BBZ last season, where it's really cool. Like, you found he was always called BBZ like the coin flip team, where I think now we're a lot more consistent than we were last season. And a lot of it came down to last season. It, like, if we had the lead, typically we would close out the game. So that's kind of what it feels like to me.
You know, it's funny, we were talking about Idris being the stronger player, and that tower dive just now. just saying.
Do you guys rank HBK over COF? Like, you two personally, Utility and Red? Okay. Like, because HBK beat them last week.
I think I would.
Yeah.
But
so the reason I say no is I think HBK definitely has the potential to just be the better team like half the time. Right? Versus like COF, so like if I'm playing against either of them, if we get ahead against HBK, I like our chances of winning. Versus against COF, they're a lot better at, you know, scrappy fighting and stuff like that. I could see them like wrestling away the lead from us, right? And so that's kind of why I think of it that way. Because like I think it was you, Utility, who said this, like, once you like are ahead, like there's only so good you could get at closing out a game before it just kind of becomes irrelevant. Right? And so I feel like that kind of factors in here a little bit.
I get that.
But that's just my opinion.
I think I would take H block over COF because I think H block is stronger mid jungle, which I think is more relevant. Oftentimes, I think COF has stronger side lanes, but not by that much.
Okay.
But they're both solid teams, so I don't think it's an obvious choice either way.
Yeah, I could see either one of them going for the third place spot.
H block winning the head to head is definitely a point in their favor, but
Okay.
Well,
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
that was the game that I played.
They're actually 1-1 because HBK forfeited day one to COF.
Yeah, but that the game they've played. H
Yeah,
block
they did
won.
win.
Oh
yes.
yeah.
And it wasn't close, and that was the Heimerdinger bot lane game.
Which is just evil, just like a LeBlanc pick looking at you.
Look, as someone who has drafted a Heimerdinger bot lane in Friend or Foe, I love it.
Y'all are a
But yeah,
bunch of bullies.
Move on to the
that's
next
all.
game.
This
That's all I'm
particular
saying.
game,
Yo,
Idris pops off, and so I think that's pretty reminiscent of often how they win. Is everyone else looks good, but Idris is the one sort of
Yeah, I
paving
think
the way for everyone to
Idris
look
popping
good.
onto these assassins has been actually really interesting. It's it's funny. It's like after we said there's no AD assassins, we start seeing them everywhere. We see Kazakhs coming out.
I played Kazakhs week 1.
You did play Kazakhs week 1,
true.
but it's like not a regular thing. It's like I'm just
I
saying.
guess.
No,
We've
it's
started to
actually
see
a lot
more.
of it is the meta shifting.
Yeah.
Like right now, a lot of high elo players are
Mhm.
playing around with Talon, Kiana, and Zed jungle.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
I
Zed got a
don't
buff to his
think-
jungling, so I don't see why not.
I don't think they'll make their way into Friend or Foe because I feel like when you're in the jungle position, when you're playing champions like that, if you don't get like a really solid lead, it's more difficult to play the game than if you were playing the pick in the mid lane.
Okay, you hear that, guys? Red says that y'all are too weak to pull out a Zed jungle, and you're not good enough.
Not what I
So-
said.
I think
That
the
is
champions
exactly
just
what he
suck
said.
in the jungle.
Said-
I think Talon's really good. I don't think the others are.
I think they all suck.
I think they all suck. All right, fair. I haven't played
But
against it. I haven't played much of the West.
Yeah, Idris, I think his main issue has been champion pool. He's looked good on Jarvan, just okay on
Yeah.
Zhao, and then now with the Kazakhs, but he hasn't he looked poor on off those things. He's gotten one of those most of the time because it's hard to spare bans for all of those, but
Yeah.
it definitely limits what they can do stylistically at the very least. So even if you can't counter his champions, you can counter sort of the style of sort of early game bruiser he likes to play. So
Yeah.
No.
Sure.
All right. So we've got Serenity Center versus BBZ. I think this was a pretty boring game. Absolutely no reason to talk about it, so we can just go ahead and move
was
on
a
to the
very
next one.
boring
Just skip right over it.
It was actually really boring after like 15
It
minutes.
was.
Yeah. So, Red, this is the one you wanted to talk about, right?
Okay, so I heard staff was flaming my Pantheon pick before the game started, so I wanted to come out here and kind of show them a thing or two. Right?
And
So, I don't know if you guys remember, but kind of towards the beginning of the season, it was kind of after the Aegis nerfs went through when it was like the god item, and Gore was like the best item in the game basically, and people were like spamming Olaf. And anyway, so in high elo when Olaf was banned, a lot of times they'd pick Pantheon mid and pair it with things like Talia, Lilia, other AP junglers like Elise, and they would do the Gore build, and it was ridiculously annoying to deal with because it could just live for so long between his E negating all damage and just the Gore Drinker and Sterix. And now that Gore Drinker has been buffed up from its nerf state, I think it's completely viable again. It fits a roaming playstyle, kind of like TF, Talia, Rise, those kinds of champions. And I think it's a completely viable pick if you're not planning to go for one of the like 80 bruiser jungles.
I can kind of see it.
I just think the pick's crap, bro. Like, I don't know about this pick, man.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Champ's, like, he was straight, like, I was with BBZ for this draft. Red's just like, guys, I think I could Pantheon here. No real
Yeah.
reason. So,
Yeah.
So it's the same thing as the Vayne top moment back all those years ago.
just messing.
I think Pantheon's strong. I would agree with
I
that.
think he's really good right now. Like, not great, but
I don't know
think he's completely
about
viable.
Red's BBZ or Red's Pantheon specifically, but in general.
I did run it like once or two. No, I ran it once.
No, you played great.
Banana
What I
bush.
remember.
I ran it.
I
didn't
think
expect their whole team to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I think he played fine, but I do think the pick is good. You just do the AP damage somewhere else in your comp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you need to be aware of the fact that you are on something of a timer in the game.
Yeah, that is always the problem with the pick like that.
I don't know. I think it's more along the lines of like with the Gore Drinker build, it's kind of more similar to a Renekton pick more than you would think normally of a Pantheon, where it's like, oh, it's the Assassin Pantheon. I think you kind of transitioned more into like a stun bot that's beefy, and then you kind of just stand in front of your AD carry with your shield up.
Well, I agree. I think people often I think people often overrate how quickly things fall off. I don't think it falls off like it's not like 20 minutes, game goes past that, you lose the game. Like
Yeah,
not at all.
I think if the game goes past 4 items, then that's when you're kind of getting in trouble.
But you definitely have to be sort of what we call it in YUBI is you have to be the beatdown. You have to be the team that's making proactive plays and doing something on the map to force the game to end. Because if you ever get to an even stalled out game state, you will lose.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, that's how I like to play. But you do have to be aware of it, picking things like that.
Yeah, I mean, like all I really got to say about this game is we kind of overcorrected against what we had done the week prior against YUBI, where we kind of, while we did get a bit of a lead and we were running a very similar comp to this, we ended up like trying to push the lead too far, and then we ended up taking really bad fights. And then, like obviously if you're in like a 1-3-1 composition and you're taking fights against a team fight composition, and the Annie specifically, who's like one of the major team fighters, has a lot of the gold, like it's not going to go well. So we kind of overcorrected and we tried playing this one too slow, which is why it kind of ended up going to 30 minutes. And, I did expect to be longer than our normal ones just because we did need to be cautious about they have a lot of team fight wombo tools. So we had to be careful not to get caught by it.
Right. Now, Dax did pull out the Lilia and did pretty good on it this game. There was a game the other day, though, during the Helios League that just
last game.
It got absolutely crushed. What do you think was it? Just kind of like we'll touch on it more whenever we actually talk about the game itself. But was there anything that stood out to you about that particular game and just what happened?
I'm trying to remember. I think I had an issue with the matchup it was picked into.
It was picked blind, and then Jarvan was picked into it.
Yes. Okay. That is exactly. So I think Lilia is really good into champions that it can outpace. So like when you're looking at because they first picked Volibear and we knew 100% it was jungle. We've been personal friends with P Sweezy for a long time. He doesn't really play Volibear. I doubt he's gonna be able, or he's gonna pick it, especially against like Jaffe.
Yeah.
Who's one of the more dominant top laners in both leagues. And so we were pretty confident it was going into the jungle. And then at that point, we just were like, okay, we're just not going to take any 2v2s. We're going to either go to the other side of the map, or we're going to take 4v3s with our bot lane with the Pantheon ult. And then we just outscale into the mid game. And then we end the game before it gets too late.
Oh, and that's kind of what you got to do. I mean, you get a decent shutdown right there. And I mean, you are kind of taking a few extra tower shots because that doesn't block tower shots anymore.
Yeah, so
or was that angled wrong?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't. I was just doing it just in case anything happened. So for that play, the idea was to let the Pantheon ult pop the Lilia asleep, and then he kind of just walks in and cues the volley and dies. So it should hopefully have been a 2-for-0, but a little bit of misplay there. So
just a little bit. It happens. Sometimes you just get a little over aggressive and you're like, oh, I have an idea, and then oh wait, whoops.
Yeah, well we were playing. He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna use the Pantheon ult to drop it, and then I'm ulting, and then all I hear is, ah shit, I broke the sleep. Like I'm like, ah, cool.
Yeah.
So
guys, casters are gonna go nuts when we do this.
But yeah, this was a pretty boring game. We were all sitting there afterwards, like, God, that was a boring 15 minutes. The last 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, and it's that kind of a team comp, like what you're up against, and Serenity Ascendant just wasn't able to scale up in order to kind of come back. So,
well, we didn't actually expect to have that big of a lead, so we were kind of expecting them to be able to like go into us there. But they were so far behind that they were just sitting under tower and not fighting. So when we didn't really have, because like we drafted a composition where we're like, okay, so we can start fights with Pantheon ult, but a lot of our fights are going to be them trying to pull the trigger, and then we kind of kite it out and then win the fight that way through the Xayah. And then they were so far behind that they weren't even willing to take fights. So we were, it was kind of hard to push in with that happening.
Yeah, and then we had another game right here, Taz versus YUBI. Was there anything in particular y'all wanted to do this game, or were you just planning on playing it like a traditional one utility?
Planning on playing it pretty standard. The main plan was to, just go even in lane and play better, because I think that we're better as a team.
Yeah.
The first game without Jeff, right?
So our first game without Jeff. Yep.
And how did that feel? How was the comms and the game itself?
Well, I'm used to bot dying at between 2 and 3 minutes. I'm just not used to it being my bot lane.
That's the funny thing with BBZ. When there is a game with BBZ in it, someone bot lane is dying at level 2.
Yeah.
It's one of the bot lanes, but it's happening.
Yes.
I mean, Brian is basically just incredibly aggressive and plays level 2 all-ins on every character, no matter what, and he's really good at it.
Yep.
So he usually wins.
Poor Clovis.
Yeah, poor Clovis. How did he feel about playing into this bot lane, just out of curiosity?
So that particular one, I think he said that he's supposed to flash the hook, and he thinks if he flashes the hook, then he forces all summoners if not getting a kill.
Yeah.
So, maybe he could play that one better, but for the most part, he was like, this is why I switched out to AD carry, because I blow. I can't play this role.
He played fine out of laning phase.
Out of laning phase? Yeah. I mean, it helps when the rest of his team is up like 10k gold.
Yeah. So do you think this one was a little bit harder than because you didn't have...
This one should have been much harder than it was. Gua starts the game, he gets 2 double kills, and then he gets a sort of a very scattered triple kill on one icon. So he's 7-0 at like 12 minutes. Gotcha. And then he sort of doesn't do anything with the lead. Like that should be we're far enough ahead top lane that I don't know if it's a instantly game-ending lead, but like that's the type of lead that you would hope you win the game with almost every time.
Yeah, I mean, a part of that is like, I don't know. I really don't like playing Kai'Sa when there isn't more than one like really consistent plasma source from Engage. It just kind of feels harder to play the game than it normally would be. And
maybe
like, assuming that the Camille is going to be in a side lane matching the Shen, like your main source of plasma there is just the Zac, right? Like my favorite combination for Kai'Sa personally is J4 Rakan. It's one that we've used in the past on BBZ. And it's very good because either one of them can start it, and then it follows up, and then you fly in and you have your passive proc along with the Q, and then you pretty much get an instant kill.
Yeah, I don't think this was on draft though. Like given that you have a 7-0 Kai'Sa, like you should perform better.
I agree. I just part of me.
I think part of it is that he ends up taking up a lot of side lanes, and so we're able to take advantage of fights where he's not there. Our strong members are, and he's also not getting anything in the side lane. Like if he's side laning, the justification has to be that he is forcing like 1v2s and he's getting towers and a ton of farm, and he's not. He's an AD carry in side lane doing normal AD carry side lane things when he's 7-0. So that was part of it, and then also part of it I think was just his team wasn't playing around him quite right in team fights, so it made it too easy for us to blow him up when we needed to.
Yeah, but very clearly y'all ended up getting quite a few spicy kills.
I don't think they knew what to do when they got there.
Yeah, they sort of had this one point of... They don't think they expected to win, and their top half also did lose pretty hard. There was a level 4 skirmish for top crab where they got 3 for 0. And so we're just snowballing hard enough top half, and they weren't quite sure what to do bottom. And eventually, we just have Ashe ult and Mumu ult, and that's more useful than what they're able to do.
Yeah. They're very much the wombo combo, kill everything as quickly as possible comp, but unfortunately against yours, you've got too many skittish champions that are able to just move around and get out of the way. Yeah,
I remember watching this game. When we end the game, I think we have like a 10k gold lead, but it felt like a game where we have an even bigger gold lead much earlier, and the only reason we didn't was because our bot lane was behind, and it didn't feel like it at any point in that game. Like it felt like we had a massive lead for the entire game, And part of that's like a warped perception from me because I had a lot of gold, so of course I feel that way. But I think part of that was their bot lane not pressing the advantage they had. Like they didn't play like they had an advantage, and so we played like we had a much bigger gold lead than we did, and we got away with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oof, that's rough. But yeah, y'all ended up pulling out the win on that one, so that closed out day 1 of week 5. Which honestly, there were quite a few games in that one that just were lopsided in terms of ability, and even on day 2, it was kind of the same thing. Fraud Squad versus Church of Alfonso. I think like I didn't expect Church of Alfonso to do anything but win this. So
yeah, I think it was sort of an expected results week for the most part.
Yeah.
There weren't a ton of huge surprises.
yeah. Like,
Yeah, we're starting to get to that point in the league where
which
You just have enough
everyone's played each
information
other.
to where
yeah.
you kind of can safely estimate where everyone's going to be in terms of like.
and that's
skill.
like a good and a bad thing, because I mean, from a caster perspective, from a like just a viewer perspective, like what the outcomes of these games are going to be, so it's a little bit harder to watch sometimes, especially whenever they start to drag out a little bit, because you're like, oh, we already know how this game is going to go, it just hasn't gotten there yet. And so like that can be a little rough.
Makes gambling a lot harder
Dude,
these days. My channel points, man, I've lost so many channel points because I keep trying to. I'm just like hoping that underdog wins every game.
Yeah,
So
I've been voting.
there was an underdog win the other day that kind of like, so there was that one.
I mean,
game.
I keep saying that the underdogs are like, yes, they're underdogs, but people are always betting too much against them. Like,
Yeah, true.
like they're underdogs, but not 20-1 or whatever it ends up being sometimes.
Yeah.
But also, it never seems to happen that way. So maybe my estimation of how favored the teams are is wrong.
Right.
When the season's over, let's all huddle up and let's rethink how we do gambling, because this is unacceptable how we're playing it.
Yeah,
so far, guys.
I think we need to start manipulating things more, like paying off the teams and that sort of thing. Like just go full on boxing. Full on boxing.
Unfortunately, all of YUBI is very cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I might just I don't know. Red, how much do I have to pay you to throw a game for me to get a bunch of channel
You
points?
treat me to KBBQ.
BBQ,
but
you got it,
gotta
bro.
come up here to do it.
Okay, what's the
You
problem?
could probably Venmo me 69 cents and I'd do it.
Yeah. You would throw
There
a
you
game
go.
for 69 cents.
Not for
Hell
70
yeah.
though.
Oh my god. Do I love it? All right, you're not fired from Power Rankings. Let's go. Let's go. Nice Power Rankings, by the way. Love them.
You know, in
Great.
all honesty, though,
Yeah.
it looks like this game
The
was
car stuff
pretty
was an excellent
close-ish in a sense. I feel like Church of Alfonso played it better, but
Fraud Squad is actually, I think they're a very solid team. I just think that they, especially laning, actually, like their laning is quite good.
I was actually really surprised that this game was as close as
Their CSing is poor, but they don't die, and that lets them stay in a lot of games that a lot of other teams wouldn't, just because they don't bleed out. Their downside is that when they get to then late game with a little bit of a deficit, and they don't seem to play team fights well enough to justify consistently getting there with a deficit. So,
and they
there's
tend
still
to,
some things to work on.
yeah, and they tend to overstay as an instance of this team fight right here.
Yeah, but they're a solid team, and I don't think I'm not surprised that they lost, but I'm also not surprised that it wasn't a complete blowout.
That's fine.
Actually, I remember this team fight because I was sitting there with my team complaining about it.
This one that just played out.
Yeah, so if you watch what Jin does here, and I have a ton of Jin, I have a ton of games on Jin, right? So he goes in and starts autoing and stuff like that and doing stuff, and then he backs out to his tier 2 tower and then ults, gets sedge ulted, and then walks back in. Where I just there's a lot of wasted time.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the Jin, he's not behind, right? He's 3-2. That's enough to carry a fight at this point. If you play it better, I guess. Maybe starting with the ult and then going into the fight afterwards.
Yep.
It just I see it a lot of time with Jins where they don't realize that they're playing Jin and they just walk up and auto and they don't utilize their range.
Oh my god, how long is this fight?
It's a fairly long fight.
It's really long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Holy.
feels when Fraud Squad play, it's sort of like a perfect storm of little things like that, where like someone's not getting the maximum damage off, someone misses one important ability, and a combination of I think IOIM is really the only one who's sort of looking to make proactive plays where it's a lot easier to do that. So they're often on the back foot in a lot of these fights and plays.
Yeah.
Where it's harder for everyone to make plays and to hit consistently. Because only one person's really looking for it, and then when it happens, they don't play it perfectly and they lose. But it's like it's hard to be perfect, so it's a lot easier if you can put yourself in easier situations more often. And it feels like they just don't have the setup. But they, it's not like they're far off either, right? Like it's you can tell like the ideas are there, and there's like they're this close.
I think a lot of it, a big part of it actually is lost my train of thought for a second. I feel like their jungler and
I thought we lost
their
you.
team isn't always on the same page. I was talking about this with my team, but IOYM has a really bad KDA. And I don't think it's because he's a bad player. I think it's because him and his team aren't on the same page, and he goes in a lot of the time and ends up dying because his team isn't there to follow up properly. And whether or not that's him going in too early or the team not being in the correct position to follow up properly, I don't know. But I feel like that is the case a lot, and I think it's one of the main things that actually holds Fraud Squad back.
I think that mindset's actually great, like not caring about your KDA and trying to make plays that'll help your team. But definitely the result, if the KDA is that bad, does indicate there's a disconnect between people not going in with him or him going in early. And so I agree with you completely.
That was just what I used. Like that was the first thing I noticed, and then I started looking into it afterwards. I was like, how does this happen? And then I started noticing there's a lot of disconnected plays.
Yeah, and if you watch the games, he is the one looking for proactive plays. You need people doing that in your team. So
and see, I think that's... Go ahead.
No, just because it looks like some communication issues that could be potentially fixed, but those are hard to nail down.
That's exactly where I was going to go with that. I was just going to say it's a matter of like playing in a coordinated team comp where just maybe they haven't quite locked it down at this point. Which as you're starting to get towards the latter half of the season, you got to be having your team fight down. You got to have your communication down because playoffs are right around the corner. You got to be ready for it.
I hate Echo, by the way.
I agree. I don't think Echo's a bully like LeBlanc, but I agree.
I have been on the receiving end of Echo one-shotting me as an AD carry many times. I hate that champion.
So it's going to be Fraud Squad, TAS, or SKL for that last spot.
Yeah.
For the sixth spot,
it depends on. It just really depends on who wins.
Do you think Fraud Squad deserves it?
I think Fraud Squad is favored to take it.
I think they're
favored.
Having
played against all three teams, I think Fraud Squad is definitely the most likely, and not just because of their record, just because of the how they play.
Right. Yeah. I haven't played Fraud Squad. They had a scheduling issue, our first scheduled game, so I won't play them until the last week.
Tragic.
But looking at their play, they seem like their level of play is just a little bit. It's higher than SKL's very consistently, and they're more consistent than TAS. TAS might have like slightly higher highs, but I would take Fraud Squad most of the time.
I think it's very likely that it's going to be Fraud Squad, unless some upsets happen and things get weird.
Fraud Squad, I think still plays SKL. I don't think they play. I think they've split their series with TAS on the season.
Gotcha.
Look. Fraud Squad plays SKL.
Taz also plays SKL actually. So if SKL
Serenity.
And both those games are this week. So if SKL 2-0s this week against Taz and Fraud Squad, suddenly they're playoff bound.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah, so that's the spicy thing that we got to be looking out for right there.
So I guess I said earlier not mathematically possible, and I still don't believe in SKL at all. But that's their out. Is they have to win both games this week.
Okay, that'll be hype.
And I think we need to see. Like, I think honestly, if SKL just puts the pedal to the metal and they stop playing it as because I think playing the one carry comp is like it's their safety. They're like, okay, we got to be careful, we got to be cautious, we got to go into this with a plan, kind of a thing. And that I think is kind of what's they're getting in their own way. And I think they need to just kind of take the shackles off, pull a Rock Lee, and just go. So kind of like what HBlock does in this game.
Yeah. One thing I think people should think about in draft more is not just what am I good at, what are they good at, how do I ban it, but if I'm against a team that is, I think, better than me, how do I make the game high variance, right? How do I give myself the biggest possible edge so that they can mess up? And that's that can do a lot of like that can be like we're gonna draft like 5 really weird characters that they've never seen before, and we're just gonna beat them in lane because they have no idea what Heimerdinger singed bot lane does.
Yeah,
Right.
Like that can work. But it can also be like we're gonna pick Kale, Vayne, Corki with no bridge whatsoever. Like we're just gonna scale, and if we lose the game early, like unlucky. But if we get to 30 minutes by magic, like if we're in the game still, we'll win the game. Like stuff like that. Like just think of a way that like, okay, you know, if we play straight up, we're not favored. So how can we not play straight up?
Just give it the Hail Mary.
Yeah, and I think
Hail
more
Mary.
teams. I think more teams should do that, and I think SKL is a great example of like what they've done so far hasn't worked. So just pick 5 scaling characters and see what happens, especially against sort of these bottom teams that don't always get the leads they should or close out consistently. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's objectively it's a terrible draft. Like objectively, you should lose, but you're not looking for what like 5 perfect League of Legends robots do. You're looking for the best practical chance to win this game.
Factual. That was hot. That was a hot speech.
It's a very
I
hot
like that.
speech. I like that speech. And I do remember this was a really long draft because I think behind the scenes we just kept having stuff go off or like they having to reset things. Like, because this was
all right. Okay, you know what? All right, yeah, let me take this opportunity to call out all you FoF players. All right, okay. When you are in Champion Select and we're trying to get you guys started, okay. Like, order up. You guys know how to order up. I know you guys know how to order up. You've done this for 5 weeks now. Okay. If something happens, you know, if something happens in Champion Select, like someone picks the wrong thing, okay, you know what to do. You dodge. It's okay. Get your ass back in lobby as soon as possible. It should not take another 20 minutes for a player to dodge a game and get back into League of Legends. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. SCC Songo. I'm a player, not a producer. Hello. My bad.
How long did it take
HBK,
for them?
I think it's a great team.
Yeah, I was gonna say how long did it take for them to get back into the lobby again?
Was it Serenity?
What was it? Sir, I forget who it was, but one of these two teams.
You know who you
We
are.
were sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
When we
Which
played
player it
against
was.
Serenity the day before this, we were wondering if the time it would take us to get into game would be longer than the game itself.
Oh yeah.
Happened against YUBI actually. Our first game, Joshi disconnected like in champion. Like we literally like got into in champions.
Oh,
like his
yeah.
internet died.
Yeah.
Like literally his internet died, and we were like freaking out.
Well,
I was freaking out.
Yeah, that was like really terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, we were a mess, bro. Don't even worry.
When isn't it?
All right.
Yeah.
So we've been seeing a lot of the Jarvan jungle lately. Like just kind of as a general thing, like just Jarvan jungle keeps popping up on a constant basis. Do you think it's just because of how strong he is in the early game and able to like skirmish and fight, or is there?
I think he's the best jungler, hands down.
Hands down.
Yeah.
You think what? He's the best jungler?
He's just the best jungler, hands down.
I
not even
think
close.
I think it's close. I think he's the best, but I think he's close. But
Who would you say is close?
I think if you are, I think Amumu is close. I think Amumu is really strong, and I think that if you're good at Xin Zhao, then Xin Zhao is strong.
I just think
it's funny that the two Demacian
is much more
warlords.
forgiving. He's much more forgiving.
He's more forgiving than Xin Zhao. He's good early. He engages team fights for you really well. Like even if he's not ahead, like Xin Zhao needs to get ahead somewhat, like not very ahead, but he needs to, you know, have some tempo lead that he's pressing, if not a gold lead. Jarvan doesn't need that. Jarvan can be even. He'll just be a team fight bruiser. His itemization is very flexible. It's very clean. Yeah, Jarvan's fantastic.
Oh.
So if you're not early picking Jarvan, you should have an answer ready at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, write that down. Write that down.
Yeah, exactly. Write that down. That's exactly why I brought it up. So yeah, obviously we see Tiki coming out on the Corki here, trying to go for that late game scaling damage there. I don't remember what their package usage was like in this game. I know that we weren't talking.
I don't remember either, but I remember being disappointed in like a lot of packages this season.
The only good package user is Civilluck.
Tien did really well.
Oh yeah.
Tien last game, he had a couple of really
Tien
good
did.
Yeah, last night he did.
We won't talk about that Serenity game then.
But his package just can't compare to Mr. Clovis Massive Wong.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yo,
I guess that's true.
On stream? What? Clovis.
Yeah, his nickname is Massive.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah. All right, and
Don't cut that out of the end.
I'll do my best to. Your audio kind of futzed there a little bit, so but we're good.
Okay. My bad.
Oh no, you're fine. That's
Mine
not on
did?
you. That's
Mine cut
Discord.
out?
No.
okay.
Just in general, Discord decided to have.
Oh, okay.
It's it's we could talk about what
It's Massive Wong. There, you got
Clovis Massive Wong. Clovis Massive Wong. There we go. As long as I say it, it's fine because everything records on my end just fine.
Yeah.
But this is another example, I think, of H-Block getting sort of their early laning lead, mostly off of great jungle intervention in all these lanes, and then they just win the game from here. I mean, it's not like SCR can't do anything anymore, right?
Yeah.
They made little mistakes that were punished hugely, and now the game's over, and they didn't even get to play, and it's kind of sad.
It is, and honestly, I really liked the Samira pickup because personally, I love Samira. I think she's probably one of the most fun ADCs to just play in general and to watch as well. It's a lot of fun to watch a good Samira. So, all right, but yeah,
I just think of filthy casual. I don't know if he's the starter or not.
Filthy Casual is the preferred. He's the preferred jungler. I've talked with, I think it was Frozen Incursion is the other one. So Frozen Incursion, he was on the lounge and he actually said he thinks Filthy Casual is the better jungler. So
I was misremembering who was who.
Oh, okay.
Frozen Incursion is the starter. Filthy Casual is not.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Filthy Casual is better. I agree. So I don't know if it's like a time commitment thing or what. But
I know the reason,
better.
but I don't know if I should leak it. I heard it.
Okay, got it.
I think I'm supposed to.
Okay.
So move on.
He looks better when he plays and he's higher ranked individually, which so it makes sense.
Yeah, I remember being really impressed when I saw him.
I mean, he beat us, so we're impressed by that, I guess.
Yeah.
True.
It's always like that begrudging respect sort of a thing.
Yeah. No, I was super sad. Like they've been playing Frozen Incursion the whole time. They switch up junglers for their game with us and wins. Like, who is this guy?
Right?
Yeah, it's like, why is this guy Diamond Smurf in our game and he hasn't played all season?
Been there.
Yeah.
14.99 in Diamond Smurfs.
You know, one thing I do want to talk about, like the 14.99, like that whole meme. I am so happy to see what Terracotta's been doing, just because they have basically kind of crushed it. They've greatly improved.
Yeah.
So
Tien looks really good. Antunes is, I think, the best support in Helios.
Absolutely.
Oriri is not a fantastic jungler, but he's very good. Like he role swapped midway through the season from support after never jungling in his life, and he looks like an average jungler. Like, what more can you ask for?
Exactly.
Top lane solid, and AD Iron Tower's laning is whatever, but Antunes carries him, and his team fighting is great. So,
and I do, again, we're going to talk about this on the Helios Lounge, but Antunes roams in the previous games, like the most recent game that they had. I was impressed. Like, he was top lane when you totally don't expect him to be top lane, and huge impact.
I do think the weakest point of the game is still laning. I think
I agree.
Oriri, I mean, that's the part of being a jungler where it's the most unique to being a jungler and not just, a supportive tank on my team. And so clearly that's the part he has the most issue with. Top lane and mid lane, both their solos are teamfight oriented. And then Antunes is aggressive and Iron Tower is also teamfight oriented. So they all play teamfights well, even from behind. So it's hard to punish them for it. But
I don't know. I feel like TG is either just playing better on game days, or maybe Rex and RLS aren't, because having scrimmed all three teams, I personally feel like TG is the weakest of the three, but clearly their stage games are, showing the opposite. They're 2-0 over RLS and they're 1-1 with Rex, and clearly something's changing on one side or the other between stage games and scrims. So
I'm pretty sure RLS is a scrim god only team.
Yeah, RLS is actually really good at scrims. It's like, I don't know. They improve really quickly, and it's really nice to see.
Maybe it's the subconscious element of knowing you're on broadcast, because I know for some people that affects them.
I think that's part of it.
So,
but even against INT in their game, I mean, INT lost to TG, but they had like a 7 or 8k gold lead and threw it.
Yeah.
So TG does look vulnerable. They don't look unbeatable. And I think that's actually really cool about Helios is that there's sort of all these top teams are really close. Like when RLS is the 4th best team, but like they've shown flashes of potential, but never quite put it together. It's sort of a really cool place to be where you have 4 contenders come playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah. It's very challenging to have all these kings that feel so strong but could lose to SDC at any moment. It's crazy.
I do hope Rex. I do hope Rex wins the league though, because I want to play him in the super final so I can tell him he ain't shit.
So Red, I want to get some opinions on this and try to
solid.
Yeah. So I was kind of confused by Taz's draft this time around.
Yeah, so were we.
It does not feel like a typical Team Astorth comp, and it doesn't play like one.
All right, so when they picked the Shen, we immediately knew that this was not the same task that we were playing against, because usually, like, Shen doesn't want to do what the rest of them want to do. And obviously at the time we thought it was top, and we still actually thought it was top going, like, loading, or not loading in, but going into that champ select, and then they ended up switching at like 2 seconds left, which kind of annoyed me. But it didn't matter.
That's not even allowed. They have to switch before 20.
Yeah, they have to do.
We told the ref, and then he tried
to it's like already in game,
and he got first blood, and we're like, okay, never mind, we're good with this.
All right.
So
that's a long time though to not say anything. Just saying. If you never got
like, what do you do in
that? They get killed 50 seconds in. It's not that long.
Yeah.
No, because we told the ref in loading screen, and then he popped up into the staff chat, and so we were just waiting, and we're like, should we pause? And then we kind of watched the Shen walk in, and we're like, okay, you know what? Play it, whatever.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And Jaffe had the right runes, so it wouldn't have mattered either way.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, gotcha.
He had the runes he wanted for either matchup, so it would, it ended up. The main concern going into that is kind of alleviated.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of just typical BBZ roaming mid.
Yep, it's typical BBZ roam mid. I feel like you guys played it pretty consistently, like you usually do. I'm curious what Taz's thought process was going into this game. It kind of feels like they're like, okay, we're at risk of losing playoffs, so let's go ahead and try and play an actual comp. And we're like, Taz, that's not what you do. You're much better at these other crazy wild comps. So
yeah, I'm gonna be. If I'm being honest, this was probably the most boring game we played all season.
Ooh,
it was
chill.
just not. Well,
relax, Toby.
There's not like.
Just kidding.
They have a jungler that doesn't have much prio, who's getting constantly invaded by lanes that have priority.
Yep.
So like, it's
just look at Rammus right now on the
where...
mini map. He's like he's taking Raptors. He's ganking mid. Hismi's like gonna go down.
I spent the majority of that game in River.
Yeah.
Just waiting for some play to happen, and like, if it was closer, it would have been like a really fun game. But like, they were like, Wukong was down 50 CS at this point. You know, I'm up 10 CS having roamed consistently. My bot lane's relatively even, but he's way up in kills. And then their jungler's really far behind and isn't a very good like making play champion. So we're just kind of, it was just an easy closeout.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm not trying to be toxic. It's just that's how it was.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you kind of gotta like the proof is in the pudding sort of a situation where it's like, they didn't play their traditional comp and it didn't work out for them. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they pull out next time, because I feel like this is probably one of those, we tried to do the thing, it didn't work, so let's not try that again. So all right, last game that we had
clean game.
Yes, it was a very clean game. Yeah, I'm not gonna reference that final kill count again, but. That was pretty gross.
For us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. I rarely build Zhonya's just because I'm not. I usually don't need it, and if I do, I die anyways. So my only death, I forgot I had Zhonya's, and I just died.
Nautilus mid, guys.
Yep, Nautilus mid. YUBI.
Okay.
Utility monster. Okay.
I have so many thoughts on this pick.
Okay.
I love this pick. I love Doinby.
Do you really? Okay.
Yeah, he's a great player. I'm hoping FPX wins Worlds again this year.
I think Nautilus mid is a legitimately good, well, not. not always fantastic, but it's like a good pocket pick, and it can be good. I don't think it's like a bad in a vacuum.
I agree.
We first picked Morgana, and they picked Nautilus mid into it.
Yeah, that's the thing I did not like.
Yeah.
True.
I cannot think of a worse matchup to play Nautilus mid into.
Yeah.
Like I legitimately can't, because you can't CC her, and she will outshove you, so you can't even roam.
Yep.
Like
Heracles was not able to do anything this game.
no, and it's not his fault. Like, well, I mean, it's his fault if he asked for the pick, but it's not his fault in game. Like,
Yep.
Yeah. No, there's nothing you can do in the matchup.
like we were talking in Champion Select, it's like they should put Nami mid because that will do something against Morgana. Like, they probably shouldn't have drafted Nautilus mid, Nami support, and had then swapped it. But like they last picked Nami, they probably should have last picked the mid laner. But given that they have Nami can do more against Morgana than Nautilus can. Like, it's so unplayable.
I really would have liked to see a Lucian here. I think Lucian Nami is incredibly powerful, and I think it kind of same.
They locked Ezreal early and then last pick Nami.
Oh, did they? I didn't actually watch the draft. I just watched the game. Regardless, I think it would have been good. Over the past 2 days, I have been carried by Lucian Nami several times. It's a lot stronger than I gave it credit for initially.
That Lucian buff, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, if they get ahead, it's terrifying.
So part of it is, if you look at the bans, we did ban 4 of Heracles as champions, so I think he felt pinched. But
It's a little
there's got to be something better than Nautilus mid. There's got to be.
Yeah, I just into the Morg specifically. Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. It's rough.
Yeah,
Why
I
not
wouldn't
the
have picked Nautilus
Thera
on that team at all. But
and you know it's easier, but like you know they lost all lanes. We put Civillock on Senna this game, so he couldn't feed like in lane like last game. And he didn't die this game. He just healed Brian, and Brian did stuff.
yeah, I don't like this Zac support trend that's coming out. Can people stop? It's like the Xerath. I hate those champions. Stop picking them, please.
Is it because you have PTSD?
Look. A little bit. if I'm being honest, Cho'Gath is the champion that brings me to tears. So, like, when I go back and watch that game, and I was like, oh, I can do this. I can carry my team. Yeah. And then I stand there autoing a Cho'Gath for 10 seconds straight, and he's still not dead. And because I'm 11-2 Tristana, and I can't kill a fucking Cho'Gath. Sorry.
Last season, we were practicing Zac support and Zac mid, so we could have a 3-way Zac flex. And then my Zac was drawing enough bans. It's like, this is not worth the time for anyone else, because I'm never going to play it anyway, so why would they play it?
Yeah.
So they dropped it. Brian still likes playing it. It works for Lasena because you get the gold, but it was funny that we were able to finally whip it out, and I was sad that Beshiwap played it first on the same day.
Oh yeah.
Copycats. Like, we've been playing this forever,
like it, man.
But no.
Sure you have.
It's like they knew what was coming, so like, hey, let's totally screw with YUBI and just draft it.
Oh my
but
god.
Beshi did it first. Utility.
Beshi is a really good Zac. He's a Zac one trick historically in solo queue. He like roll swapped the bot lane for FoF last season, but. So his Zac is very clean.
Yep. I mean, God, it's just you hate looking at this scoreboard because you can just see like how choked out Thero got. I mean, he's 26 behind. He's down 2 deaths.
I mean, the kill score is close, but they can't contest dragons, and they can't do anything else on the map besides it. So we just show up to dragon on time, look at them menacingly, and they leave.
He's just standing there.
I'm actually pretty impressed. You know, like obviously having no deaths or having 2 deaths isn't ideal, but like I don't think being 20
No, I think Heracles played this game about as well as you can expect given the pick. The pick is just unplayable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like he got choked out in the sense of like there was just he couldn't do what he wanted to do with the pick. I mean, I'm not saying that his score was bad.
And then they revert back to the classic SKL one threat comp, and this time it's even an Ezreal, it's not even a hyper carry. They don't get ahead. They go even with the Senna lane, which is losing. We have a scaling Kayle. Morgana's neutralizing the mid lane, and Kha'Zix is matching Trundle wherever he tries to show up and impact the map. So it ends up just being a very clean win from us, but it's sort of nothing they could like. I hate when to say games are like lost in draft, because I think that gameplay is so much more important, and it's harder to analyze. So it's easy to just, draft sucked. That was why. Like, even if that's not true. But this game, I legitimately think like with this draft, you have to be so much better than your opponents to win.
I mostly agree with you. I feel like there's been a couple of teams that their draft beats them because they always go for the more complicated win condition, or they just go like they see like what the enemy's picking and they pick the wrong champs into it, like the Nautilus into a Morgana. But it's things like that. I feel like there's specific teams that just have that flaw is the best way to describe it. And it's a big enough flaw that I think that some teams need to reevaluate how they're doing their drafts.
Yeah, you guys got like 2 weeks. So,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, I think your goal in draft is to make the game as easy as possible for you and not
Absolutely.
necessarily anything else.
It should always be about, it's like, okay, what is the easiest way for me to win this game? It's like not even win my lane. It's like, am I going to win my lane through kills or am I going to win my lane through farming? What is going to be the easiest way for me to do that? Or what am I going to have the most fun in lane doing and still live?
Yeah. STC get Yone, or do we not get Yone? Okay.
That was the game you got down it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh, that was. We're not talking about that week.
Yeah, that was a
You guys
rough week. All right, well, so that's all of the games that we had, which means that we're going to hop over here into the games that we got coming up.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
More League of Legends.
League of Legos.
Are we on 27th?
We're on the 27th. Yeah, so that's going to be what's coming up here next on the September 27th. It's going to be Church of Alfonso starting it off versus Serenity Senate. And then
Who
just
wins
kinda
that?
I think COF does.
COF does. I think only because of the fact that I feel like Serenity's a little off their game at the moment. I feel if they come in if they do something over the weekend, there's a total chance for them to pull it out the win, I think, on Monday. But
So-
Does SCR have a real AD carry yet?
No.
Okay, then they are probably gonna lose.
So here's the thing, right? Like SCR looked best with Filthy Casual and LTY in the lineup. Neither of those players are on the team anymore.
Ah.
Because Filthy Casual is a friend of LTY. LTY is no longer the team, so I highly doubt that Filthy Casual is going to continue playing for Serenity.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Leak
it's still
the tea.
possible. I could be wrong. But I think it's going to be hard for them without having those two players in the lineup to win against what I consider the third best team in the league. Second to third, depending on.
If those LTY's off the team, I know for sure. If Filthy Casual doesn't play, I don't think they ever win. If he plays, then I think it's possible.
I do think I have seen Peace Weezy carry like solo carry games before, so it's not impossible. It's just pretty unlikely.
I think it'll look similar to Fraud Squad versus COF last week, where COF sort of wins and you're not surprised and it looks overall comfortable, but it's not a stomp. It's not going to be like they show up and the game's over at 10 minutes and SCR never stood a chance. It's going to be,
right.
they lost. They
It's
played okay.
not going to be like the next two games that day where HBK is going to win pretty hard and Fraud Squad's going to just pull out an easy victory, so we don't have to worry about that.
Easy win.
Yeah, so those will be some easy wins.
Yeah, those are pretty bad teams, so I don't see those games going any other way.
No.
And then last game, TAS versus SKL is really important for playoff seeding, so that'll be good to watch.
Yeah, that'll be an exciting one. That's the one
Well,
where
it's
I'm really looking forward to.
The BBZ versus Fraud Squad game is also really important for seeding because if they do beat us, it's going to be that much harder for TAS and SKL to get.
That's true. If Fraud Squad can sort of steal a win off of any of the off of BBZ this week or UB next week or SCR last day, that makes it really hard to catch them, even if they lose to SKL this week.
Yeah.
Yep, and then in the next day you got Fraud Squad versus SKL, so that's going to be kind of like the other matchup that's going to be really important.
I believe in SKL.
I believe in SKL. I believe that they've
SKL.
got a chance. I think Fraud Squad is going to come bringing the hammer down, so that's going to be the biggest issue they have to deal with, though.
I think Fraud Squad's favored in that one. I think if they win that one, they're sort of just locked. They might even be mathematically locked if they win that one. I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
Yeah,
They might be like tiebreak only or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a tiebreak only at that point.
Okay. Like and practically, I think they're locked because I don't think there's any way that even if TAS beats SKL, I don't think TAS is gonna win any other games. So
Right.
Wait, Songo, question.
Hello.
If a team is I'm fairly positive I know the answer. If a team is 2-0 over you, so for example, let's say like UB's 2 over BBZ, if we tie them in standings, they automatically have the head-to-head and have higher seeding, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that's correct.
that's what the rule book says. Yeah.
Yeah, I was fairly positive that was the answer. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah.
So what that actually means for UB is that if we beat H block, we are mathematically guaranteed the first seed because the best anyone else could do would be BBZ tying us, and then we have the head-to-head.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're guaranteed first seed as is, I think.
If we
Unless
lose out and H block wins out, H block can take first seed.
Well, you'd have to win you'd have to lose like all your games though.
Yeah. I'm saying like we are mathematically guaranteed.
Well,
if
you
we beat
know,
H
you
block.
give him 69 cents.
Practically, we'd probably get it
Venmo
most
him
of the time anyway.
69 cents, and you're good.
I think realistically the fight currently is for second.
I agree, but it's nice to have mathematically locked up.
Yep.
So then we can start picking Yumi more often.
Exactly.
True.
Which Rex already beat you to it, so.
Dude, I was pissed. Okay, so we played SKL and Taz last week, and they're the worst teams in the league. So we were planning on picking fun champions like Yumi, and then Jeff got hit by a car, so we had to try hard with a new roster. And then Rex gets to pick Yumi first. Like literally, our draft notes before Jeff got hit by a car were pick Yumi or grief the game. That was the draft. That was it.
He's got to watch.
Oh,
he just
God.
didn't have a word up. He got ganked pretty hard, I guess.
Oh my goodness.
Someone out there really doesn't want you guys to pick me.
Why do you apologize? I was playing TFT on my phone.
Did you win at least?
I wasn't.
No. Okay. Well, unfortunate for that.
Okay.
Well,
I was trying to get an emote in the TFT pass. It was a free one, so I've been playing a lot of TFT in my downtime, like just AFKing normal games and shit.
Yep.
And I was
Jeff
in the TFT game, AFK, like watching shows, and I checked Discord and I saw utility was like, oh, the YUBI haters need to stop. They hit Jeff with a car or something along those lines, and I was like, oh, my bad. My bad.
MB, my bad.
Yep.
Did you even realize it was like not a meme at that point?
No, I assumed it was. I don't think you'd be going in here saying like, "Oh, Jeff got hit by a car."
Okay.
Yeah.
But, like, I also think it wasn't serious.
If I'm saying it trash talk,
UB has all UB members have like created that presence of like I couldn't tell for sure.
Is that
I was
real?
pretty
Hold on.
positive that it happened. I just kind of figured it was like he got rear-ended or something.
Okay.
Right.
I didn't think.
Yeah. See, I didn't think it was a pedestrian situation.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah. Next time you guys say anything about injuries, I'm gonna ask for proof.
I need a doctor's note.
All right. Well, that's all I've got. So unless you guys got anything else you want to say before we close this out here.
I expect to get second place. We're planning to go 4-0.
Okay.
I want to win with Yumi because Yumi is cute and a good champion.
Okay.
I will agree with the cute part.
On the Yumi front, I was playing solo queue last night, and every single game, Pike or Yumi.
Oh wow.
And I was losing my shit. I was getting so tired of it.
All right, so just for you, we're playing Pike and Yumi. Got it.
Pike and Yumi.
I actually had a Pike jungle last night.
It's gonna be Pike mid. Don't worry.
Yeah. He picked it because someone banned his Vex jungle.
I've been noticing a lot more griefers.
We're walking Yumi Pike mid.
Oh my god, so many griefers in
Oh,
solo
are
queue
you
right
gonna
now.
do like the
Yumi support Pike mid.
Oh, that's not as fun.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll do Tart Kale.
Okay.
Just the undying.
You guys play each other again? Oh no, you don't.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, you guys are done.
If we get second, we won't see each other till the finals, and then actually we'd have to be fourth, I think.
We get as first seed, we get to pick who we play. Can we pick them even if they're second seed?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Okay, it's TBD. Okay. I would recommend not picking BBZ because there's no loser bracket this time. Like, as we all know, BBZ only loses 3 games in a row when we're in the grand finals, so it's just a guaranteed win. There you go. You're welcome.
Yep.
Don't pick BBZ.
Dude, after we beat you guys last time, I should have just changed the rules, man. I should have just put the losers bracket.
No losers bracket, it's gone.
beaten INT. I would have gone home happy that night. It would have been great.
I remember,
Oh my God.
the main thing I remember about that day was after game 3 when we won. I just remember Songo screaming, "Brian ain't shit."
I remember telling you not to tell other people that I said that because I respect Brian.
Well, Brian,
Sorry, Brian.
you heard it here.
My bad, Brian. My bad. I wrap
Brian,
up the show.
Brian used to be good, but he spent too much time playing Final Fantasy 14 and not practicing.
Add me.
That'll do it. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
All right, folks, I'm going to go and close it out here. I want to say thank you, Songo Red, Utility Monster, for joining us. This was a pretty good one. I like this. I think this line went pretty well. And then we want to give a special thanks to our sponsors, Logitech Gaming and Adobe Creative Cloud. We greatly appreciate your support. Remember to tune into our Friend or Foe series. It's on Mondays and Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays, 4:30 Pacific time on twitch.tv/FoF Esports. We'll have the link for that down in the description below. Remember to have a great time out on the Summoner's Rift, and we'll see you later.
Joshi ain't shit.
Joshi ain't shit.
Damn.